I feel like I know less about Kamala Harris, if that's even possible, after her colossal failure of an interview with Oprah Winfrey last night. But it was, ooh, Oprah. So, ooh, look how great we are. We had other celebrities there too. Ooh, look, by the way, it's Oprah. What did Kamala say? It doesn't matter. Look, it's Oprah. You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a. At least that's what they're hoping for. But instead, this charade of an interview or a live stream or whatever else they want to call it, that probably even made Kamala's own consultants just want to throw in the towel.
We take pride in the privilege of being American. And this is a moment where we can and must come together as Americans, understanding we have so much more in common than what separates us. Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be.
What the actual...
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
But wait, I just want to point this out. I just want to go back and look at Oprah's body language, okay? Roll this. Let me remind you of this. The little fact about Oprah, folks, here, look at her body language, okay? This woman has been on like couches with people who have been convicted of crimes. We've looked at, some of the most vile sociopathic and in some cases already convicted rapists. And yet she has looked far more comfortable with these people than she did right there with Kamala Harris, trying to fake her love through a 2-minute Kamala Harris venti-sized cup of philosophization about what has been unburdened. And then this poor couple comes along. They're trying to just live their lives. They're trying to afford living in the Biden-Harris version of America. And they may be a bit uninformed because they watch MSNBC, but now they just bought a home. And this couple is desperately seeking answers. They want Kamala to know about how difficult it's been for them to achieve the American dream because their mortgage is too high, they're struggling, and they really need an answer from the current vice president of almost 4 years as to how she intends to try to fix a problem she's already presiding over, and this is what they got.
So, Madam Vice President, we are, like many, many young Americans, just experiencing a very high cost of living. We ended up giving up our apartment, moving in with our parents who were so gracious to take us in for over a year so that we could save money and ultimately buy a home, because that's what we thought the American dream was, to get married and buy a home and have a baby. And now here we are, and our mortgage is incredibly higher than what we thought it would be. And my sister and our brother-in-law are living with us right now so that they can hopefully one day do the same. And while it's beneficial for us because they help us pay off some of our mortgage, it's also beneficial for them because they can save on cheaper rent. But we really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here.
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
First of all, thank you both for being here.
The lights are on, but nobody's home. And if you notice, look at the wife who asked the question just as soon as Kamala Harris starts talking. She's like nodding along, yeah, none of what you're saying makes any sense, but it's so deep and it's not a mean tweet. It's like all those lax bros in the 90s. Remember that? They used to blast Dave Matthews Band in their Jeeps with the doors off and boat shoes with no socks and their eyes closed, blowing the hair off their face, being like, the music is so deep, bro. That's exactly what this woman was like. She was like, yeah, it's unbelievable. And these people, their vote is worth as much as mine. Except that Kamala Harris didn't answer the question at all. She didn't provide an answer, a solution. She showed approximately zero regard for the actual question. Oh, you're suffering. Sorry. I grew up in a middle-class family. I had a lawn. Look, you want different results? Go vote differently. I would have hung up on that Zoom call like mid-sentence, mid-answer. But there was one moment, one silver lining of journalisming that Oprah Winfrey did.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
More of this. Oprah, bring her back to semblance of some sort of sentence. Make her answer the question. But I mean, like, you had the president's authority, Kamala, on the border for 4 years. Why do we have to wait for another bill to come to your desk? By the way, the Biden administration and Kamala Harris had no less ability, no less rights, no less power, no less money than Trump did, and he seemed to do it. Why would we give her another chance to mess everything up? But the one sentence that was clear out of this whole kit and caboodle was the fact that even though Kamala Harris said time and time again that she doesn't want you and I to have guns, that she supports mandatory gun buyback, she wants to ban assault rifles, she doesn't even know what those are because they're not a thing. Suddenly Kamala wants everyone to know that if someone's break into her house, she gonna shoot you, as she says.
When you said you have guns, no, at the debate.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If
And I thought
somebody
that was
breaks in
powerful.
my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
Now it seems socially acceptable, which is weird because when Kyle Rittenhouse was being chased down the street by a mob, while in the streets that were burning during the so-called Summer of Love that Kamala Harris bailed everybody out for, when Kyle Rittenhouse dropped a few folks in self-defense and was later found innocent of any wrongdoing, by the way, Kamala Harris had questions about the verdict.
I have questions about the verdict, and the verdict really speaks for itself. As many of you know, I've spent a majority of my career working to make the criminal justice system more equitable, and clearly there's a lot more work to do. Thanks.
More equitable. I mean, rules for thee, but not for me. But this moment was truly nauseating.
Joe Biden, President Biden, stepped aside and withdrew his candidacy. That a veil or something dropped, and you just stepped into your power? I mean, literally, looking at you at a speech like the week before, which was a great speech, very nice, and then the next week, I saw you walking in the thing, and I said, what happened to you?
Life is not a talk show, as Oprah might be pointing out. I mean, I just want to read a little about what she said in non-pop culture tones so you can see how little substance was actually in this interview. Here's the transcript. Something happened to you. The moment Joe Biden, President Biden, stepped aside and withdrew his candidacy, that a veil, or something, and you, stepped into your power. I mean, looking at you, speech like the week before, which was a great speech, very nice. The next week, I saw you walking in the thing, and I said, what happened to you? Ladies and gentlemen, scholars and journalists, this is Oprah's contribution to this whole presidential election. Oprah Winfrey is talking about veils and walking into the thing. You guys make fun of how Trump speaks all the time, libs. If that's your standard, okay, fine. I can't with this. Look, if this is what 51% of America is going to vote for, then we are too stupid to keep the republic. And we probably deserve what we get. And meanwhile, while Kamala Harris is gantling around, living the pop culture life with Oprah walking in the thing, or whatever she said, you know who's running the White House at the first cabinet meeting in 11 months? Dr. Say Sepladwe, not the president, but also not a real doctor, Joe Biden.
So I'd like to turn it over to Jill and for any comments she has. And it's all yours, kid.
Dear Lord.